Hey everyone, I'm Chelsea from the BillBook support team, and we're going to talk a little bit about invoices. Invoices are arguably one of the more important parts of the project because this is a request for payment from your clients. So using our invoices tool, you're able to send out professional requests for payments on your project. And although we're not able to essentially accept payments in BuildBook, so we're not able to tender payments or anything like that through BuildBook, I will show you a couple of ways of how you can make that easy for the clients. But in the interim, you're able to send out invoices that are professional looking and that explain in detail what the client needs to pay for. Invoices are usually found in the projects in the financials in the invoices tab. But if you'd like, you can click on the More menu and see all invoices across all projects by clicking on the invoices right there. Additionally, you're able to access your invoices at any point in time by the Summary tab and clicking on the payments right here. Whenever you enter your Invoices tab, you're going to see some metrics up here that describe to you the financial situation of the project in terms of payments. So again, invoices are money coming into the project, where bills and expenses are kind of money going out on the project. The first metric that you'll see is the budget. So this is the totality of your budget, including your change orders and credits. Next, you'll have drafts. So this is going to show you any invoices that are in draft and total all of them up based on their amounts. The invoiced metric right here, that's going to show you any open, overdue, or even paid invoices. So essentially, this is going to show you just the amount of open invoices that you have or have invoiced out. The reason why drafts don't show up here in this metric is because drafts are technically editable and they're not necessarily sent out invoices yet. So in this case, we don't put it here in the invoice because these are still not necessarily invoices. Next is going to be the outstanding. So this is anything that is outstanding in open status and thereby extension, anything that's overdue. So anything overdue is what's gone over this due date right here. Paid will show you any of the paid invoices and total those up here. So as long as they have a status of paid here, they'll show up here. And then finally, this is going to be the remaining amount after the invoices. This amount does not include those draft invoices, again, for the particular reason that they're not technically invoices yet. They're still in a draft status. Again, in the invoices, you're going to have a name. So you'll always have an invoice number that's editable and that you can change. And if you ever want to access an invoice, you just click on this hyperlink right here to go into the invoice. You'll also have a status. The statuses that we currently have are paid, open, draft, and void. As far as changing statuses or customizing statuses, we don't have that ability in BuildBook at all, so you only have those 4 statuses. Then you'll have a due date, so what's the due date of the actual invoice, and the total amount of the invoice. Additionally, you have a nice little piece of information that you can input optionally when you're creating invoices or even when you're just editing any invoice. And that's the description piece of the invoice. So this is not seen by clients, but it is seen by you, very similar to how change orders work. And this just allows you a bird's eye view to tell you really quickly what the invoice is. You can always add to that or edit it here in the description right there. Each invoice is going to have a payable to, which is your company information, and a bill to. This is the first client who is added to your project. So as long as there is a client invited to your project, this will pop up. If there's not, it will typically show up something like this. And then as long as that person is added in people, or you can click on add somebody new, you can search for them and add them to the invoice right here. Every invoice is going to have the ability to add budget items or custom items. Budget items are items that are actually found on your budget. Custom items are things like your bills and expenses and change orders that you want to invoice for. You'll also have a notes section where you can optionally add notes. This is where I like to sometimes add a payment URL. if my payment URL is different for everybody, I can really quickly and easily add payment URL here, highlight it, and then using our hyperlink right here, I could add whatever URL I wanted to. And then we have some payment terms. These payment terms are actually, they can be defaulted in your invoice settings, and I'll show you how to do that after I'm finished showing you everything else. And then finally, some attachments. If you want to add any attachments like photos or documents to the invoice that you want the client to be able to see, you can attach those here. Finally, this is where you can change your status. So again, draft status, open status, paid or voided. You'll have the description. And then right here, you have a really nice little mini activity feed. So whenever you share this invoice, you'll be able to see if you emailed it. You'll be able to see what day you emailed it, those different types of things that make it really easy for you to check to make sure that you've actually sent something out to your clients. In the top part of the invoice, you're going to have an ellipsis menu where you'll have invoice settings, and then you can delete the invoice. And then you'll have a preview and share option. So just like preview and share for your change orders or your estimates, everything will have a client visibility, so you can choose what you want the client to be able to see. And you can choose the also additional things down here at any point in time, just like so. You can also share the invoice, so you can either email it, copy a link to the invoice so you can text it or email it, print it, or export it as a PDF if you'd like. Once you've created your invoice, we do suggest that you switch that open from draft to open, and that just basically locks the invoice down so that you can't edit it anymore. Now, edited invoices, they will be able to be seen by your clients. So if you are making edits in the invoice, you've sent it to the client, and then you have to make a few more edits. Whenever they go to view that invoice, they'll see your edits. But again, I personally like to lock this once I've sent the email to the client, just so that nobody else can come in here and make some adjustments. If you ever need to, though, you can just switch it back to draft at any point in time so that you can make those edits that you need. Finally, if you want to, you can click on here to go to your invoice settings. So once you have, again, like I said, you can add some payment terms or default payment terms down here, or anything that you really want to within your invoice settings. Now, once you're in the invoice settings, you'll be able to click on terms, so you can set a default due date. This is going to basically choose a due date for you. So as soon as you create an invoice, you can essentially set this to however long you want for the invoice to be paid, and that due date will automatically populate based on this. Additionally, you can put in your payment terms. So if you have payment terms and conditions, or just normal things by law that you have to put into your invoices, you can do it here, and that way you're not having to copy and paste those every single time. And then additionally, you can also put your payment URL. So if you're using like QuickBooks or Square or Stripe or something for your payments, and you have a particular URL that you want the clients to click on, you can put that in your invoices right here, use that hyperlink function, and then again, basically allow your client to make that payment really quickly. Now, back to all settings doesn't take you back to the invoice, but it will take you back to your company settings or your account settings, basically. And if you ever want to, you can find those invoice settings in your financials right here by clicking on Edit Invoice Settings. Hopefully that video answered some of your questions, but if you still have more, feel free to click on this question mark help icon to be directed to our chat. Happy building!